Hey guys! Thank you so much for coming to watch my video. This was a really exciting one. This is probably my favorite piece ever, so let's get started. I start with this wooden panel that my lovely husband made for me, and it works perfectly. You can buy these, but they are hard to find. So I'm just sanding it down. And then I primed it with some primer that I usually paint gray just so it's all neutral in the background. And then I sand that as well so the surface is just nice and smooth. I sketched out a few ideas for this piece and I went with this one. I thought it just looked the best. But I'm gonna have the crystals in the center. It's gonna be a geode, so I painted the center area white. And then I'm just going over the background a lighter gray because I decided I wanted this piece to be white and light gray. So I just didn't want that darker gray primer to come through at all. So I sketched out where I wanna put the stones. I'm gonna be using howlite, which is a great stone for stress relief, and it's just really calming. So I just want this piece to be really soothing and just beautiful. So I'm taking my glass pieces. This is fire glass. And I'm gonna be covering the white area. So I first want to do the sides. I'm just using a glue gun and trying to cover just as much area as I can before the glue starts to set. And then I put a bunch in my hand and kind of just flip my hand onto the side with the glue and see what sticks. So these sides are nice and deep, so this part takes a little longer than usual. But I just think it makes it look so much better when the piece kind of rolls over onto the sides. And that's how it looks. Now for the rest, I'm just putting the glass pieces onto the white area, and I'm using my hands, but you can use a paintbrush just to kind of push it in place. And this is the howlite. I've had this bag of howlite for a while and I've just been waiting for the right time. So I was so excited to use it. I'm just putting the stones on the side here. And I have that area in dark gray just because I wanted the stones to pop. And if there was background within the stone area, it would be a dark gray. Because they do have the dark gray veins in them. And here I'm using the paintbrush to put everything in place. And I realized I didn't have enough of the stones to cover all of the gray, so I had to make my line a little thinner. So I'm mixing up some resin, and I'm using a popsicle stick, and I'm just drizzling it over all of the stones and the glass. You can kind of do like a cross hatching, which helps ensure that every area is covered. And then I used it on the sides for it to drizzle down. And then I used a heat gun. And here's what it looks like. So now I'm just taking some quartz crystals, which I love this part. And I'm using the glue gun to adhere them to certain areas. So I'm making little clusters, and I usually do clusters of 3 quartz. I just feel like that works well. And then I usually choose 3 clusters as well, which this area I could have done more clusters, I think, but I stuck to the 3. And I try to find 3 pieces of quartz that are differing in size. I think that helps. So I mixed up some resin. And we're making the druzy, so this is fun. I just poured in some Epsom salt, and now you're gonna add some sand, white sand, and then I have this white iridescent glitter. And then you add a little resin. And you kind of just eye it out. Of course, there's more sand and salt than there is glitter. But all sorts of textures or mixtures will work. You just don't want to put too much resin in it. You don't want it to be runny. You want it to look like rock, chunky formations. So that's getting good. I'm just adding a little more salt. And glitter. And then that's perfect. That's the texture you want. I'm just placing it around the crystals. So you want it to look like, or I wanted it to look like the crystals are coming out of the sand rock formation. Kind of like, you know, real crystals do. And then I extend the sand to different parts of the glass to kind of just balance the piece. And that's what it looks like. So now I'm gonna lay down the resin. So I have my white pigment, my pearlescent pigment. I got some metallic gold. That's the gray. And I've put it in my cups. So there's the white. And the gold. And one of the grays. And then I have a lighter color gray. Sorry, I know it's really sped up, but this video was so long. So that's the popsicle stick I use. I just cut off the end and it makes it a lot easier to do any line work. So I'm tracing the glass area with the gold. and tracing the stones with the gray. And that's the only area where I'm using the gold resin because I want it to kind of pop from the center. Adding in some of the light gray. I think it kind of looked cool like this before I used the heat gun. But I'm just using the heat gun to blow out the resin into each other, and it just forms that like stone look. I love how the white and the light gray work together. There was areas around the stones. It was hard to get that dark gray out, but okay, now we're gonna do some gilding, and you need some Mod Podge gold foil, which I cut into thirds to make it easier. And I put some Mod Podge in a cup, and I'm just brushing it onto the area that I want to gild. This part is always so fun for me too. So after I put the Mod Podge down, I take a piece of gold foil and I just set it down on top of it. And then I use the brush to actually just tap it and to get all the pieces of the foil to adhere to the surfaces. And some people put the glue or Mod Podge down and they let it set for like 5 minutes before doing the gold leaf, but I usually just do it right away. So after you push everything down, you want to let it set for like a few hours at least. And you take a coarse brush, like this one works perfectly. I forget what it's for, and you just brush off the gold pieces. And I use a dust buster, which works so good. It just sucks up all the extra loose leaf, and it's awesome. So, okay, here we go with the glitter. Today is glitter line day, and that's another exciting day. But I use these little containers that I got from Temu, and I cut off the end, and I chose my gold glitter, which I thought matched nicely with the gold resin and the gold leafing. But you mix the glitter with a little resin, and you just keep adding little bits until you get to the right consistency, because you want the resin to be able to pour a little bit but not fluidly drip. So that's how I like my resin when I do the glitter lines. And these containers, these squeeze bottles are just they make it so much easier. I used to use a popsicle stick and try to make lines. Oh my God, it was so hard. So at this point, I don't know how many lines I'm gonna make, but I do know I'm gonna start and outline that gold area. I always get carried away with glitter lines. I think they enhance the piece so much, and but it's funny because if you ask my husband, he'll say, no, just leave it like it is. Can't you just not do glitter lines? And I'm like, no, you can't not do glitter lines. I mean, come on. So I'm adding a few more around the center. I'm trying to keep it balanced, so I'm doing the center of that white line. And then I felt like it needed one more towards the center, just so it would look like it's radiating out. And now it is marker day. And I use these Deco Color markers. I don't know what other markers I would use because these work so good. But they do get used up fast. So I'm just outlining the glitter lines. And most of the lines, I'm just doing one line. I'm not doing both sides of it. So here I'm just doing the outside. It was hard doing the lines and the camera. And I'm extending everything to the sides as well. So the glitter lines go down the side and then the markers do too. So after the gold markers, I decided that a thin white marker would work great. So I added that. And these markers are hard to find too. It's hard to find good ones, but these ones I got on Temu for like 5 for $3 or something crazy. And they just work really well. This is when I started questioning, perhaps I'm doing too many lines, but I don't know. I just thought it needed some more white. And that's how it looks. So it's already popping. It already looks so good. But I'm not done yet. So these are little shards of glass pieces. They're glass chips, I guess. I got them on Amazon. And I wanted it for cases like this where I was using a chunkier pieces of glass, and then I wanted to put the smaller pieces of glass on top, which I did. I just poured them on top, and I'm using a paintbrush to get the excess off. But this all just adds to the final sparkle. So I'm mixing up some resin. And again, I'm using the popsicle stick that I cut on the end, and I'm just covering the top. And then I'm also doing the resin coat on top of everything else. But this is not the final coat. And I'm using a torch. Now this is a game changer. This is called Diamond Dust. You can get this on Amazon, and it just brings your crystals to another level. So I'm just sprinkling it over everything, but I'm concentrating and focusing on the clustered areas because I want those to really pop. And look at that. Isn't that just so beautiful? I love it. Okay, so it's marker day again because I do multiple coats of the marker lines, and this allows for this shadow to come out from underneath them, and it makes the lines look so much better. But this piece I'm only doing 2 layers, so this is the second layer of lines, and I'm just going over the first layer. So I don't know if you can see it, but you start to see this little shadow underneath the line. And it just looks so much better. But if I had done 3 layers, it would have been a lot more noticeable. What it looks like is, it looks like the marker lines are going through the resin. It's just one of those steps that it's kind of a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. And I already know at this point that I'm like, this piece, her name is the Ice Queen. I just felt that fit, and she just looks icy. And now that white is coming out a lot better too. If you look at the other line, it looks faded. There it is. So, I use pretty cheap resin that I buy from Temu actually. And I have wanted to know what it was like to use good resin. And also I wanted a good resin for my top coats because I wanted them to really shine a lot better than I was getting from my other resin. So I researched it, and art resin is supposed to be really good, and so I splurged for this resin, and it was $120 on Amazon, but I'm going to use it for my final coat and see how it goes. So I mixed it up and poured it on. And initially there were so many tiny bubbles. It just bubbled up a lot more than the other resin did. But I'm just hitting it with the heat gun. And I'm also going to use the torch to just make sure everything's clear. Now I'm just getting out any pieces. I usually take a flashlight and just see if I can see any debris or anything that I need to get out. And now the next day, there's just a few more steps because I have all the drips on the back. I don't tape up the back usually. I use this tool, which it's called a rotary tool, and it works so good for getting off these big chunks. And then I just sand it, and usually I'll prime the back too, but here she is, the Ice Queen. What is she doing at the beach? I'm not sure, but how beautiful is this? The howlite, the calming serenity of it, the sparkling. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. That would be amazing. I am a brand new channel and I'm just trying to get going here. So I appreciate your support. Thank you.